Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. I have a very interesting video this time. I'm actually working on an E46 2003 330 CI coming from New Mexico. This is Kyle. This is your setup. He sent me before his computer in the EWS. I performed the repairs. He got it back, put him on the car, and he said it ran good for 2 days, and then it's no start again, no crank, no start. I found when he sent the computer first that is oil on connector number 3. I told him that he needs to repair that on the vehicle. Not sure if he has performed the repairs or not. This time the computer is not full of oil, or it wasn't like completely full of oil, but it was oil. I'm going to show you the pictures in a second. But I can see oil on the connector number 3. And that has to be corrected because oil is conductive, and that is going to definitely skew the computer from working properly. I have another computer here. Same, these are DME MS43. So this is another computer from another customer with the same issue. Connector number 3, full of oil. So that is a common situation on this vehicle. So let me show you some of that, and so you will be able to see what I found. So I'm going to move you first. Well, let me, as normal, show you some of the connections. As you can see, I have the computer here. I got my own toroidal coil. That is the one that reads the keys. This is his EWS, which is under the dash on the driver's side, and then his instrument cluster. I have my own instrument cluster, but it got shorted out. So I ordered another one, and it's not here yet. So I asked him to this time to send me his setup. I didn't record a video the last time because I thought it was not really necessary. It was, these are old vehicles. I did show him some of the problem that he had on his setup. So let me just show you that. All right, so this is his EWS. As you can see, definitely water intrusion, and it's very common on that side. So I did clean the entire board, replace capacitors, resolder the relay, and replace it because I got cracked solder joints and normal things that are common on this. This is the connector number 3. We can see the oil in here. I mean, look at, there's still a drop of oil. I'm going to move a hand. Hopefully you can see. It's a little hard to see. Okay, that now you can see probably at the bottom, close to my corner. Let me just check, make sure I didn't lose. Yeah, hello. Yeah, no, everything is good. All right, so we have oil in there, and also on connector number 2, and a little bit on connector number 4. And that is oil migration. It's very common. Some people like oil in the DME. I'm like, yeah, I have seen in N20s the computer with like a half a quart of oil inside from the oil sensor. It travels through the insulation of the wiring all the way to the DME. And it's so simple, because I had to tell customers, like, look, your oil sensor is leaking. That is something that can damage your DME, and they decline it. And they come later, a couple of weeks, a couple of months, and then it's on the hook, no start, and now it's not a sensor that still needs to be replaced. Now it's a complete harness, and it's a DME, and now it's going to cost them, $5,000-$6,000, and the car goes to the junkyard. All right, so we can see now here more of the oil, and we can see also here right along the board, and that got inside the computer because it travels to the connector. I mean, look at the amount of oil, and this is, he didn't even notice that. So I said, we got a lot of oil. I did, and luckily for him, the computer wasn't completely damaged. I said, it's definitely, a couple of diodes and things that needs to be replaced. So it was an inexpensive repair, but it's back again. So this is, so he can see that this is his setup. Oops, sorry. This is just a toroidal. Well, if you guys want to see, it's actually very inexpensive. FCP Pro has it, and that is the part number. I got it like in literally like 3 days, so might as well have that in here. All right, so as I normally do, I do my homework, and I'm talking about a lot of like this, the design of these vehicles. It has a CAN bus. Let me put you in this view. This vehicle has a COM bus internal to communicate in between the computer and the instrument cluster, the transmission, and so on. That is for internal communication in between modules. It's a very fast speed communication. The communication for diagnostics happens on K-line DLC 7, and that is a completely different network. The gateway for all these communications is the cluster, and that's what I have the cluster in here. Same thing is for the K-bus, another bus the BMW uses to communicate in between other modules that are not that important as far as speed. And they want to have that separate because it's the only way that in case something shorts out is the entire car doesn't go down. One of the members of that K-bus is the EWS. So that bus has a very distinctive setup, and I have actually a waveform that I can show you. Let me see if I have it open. Yeah, I got all that information open in here. So let me just show you. Okay, so this is the K-bus. That is the signal that goes into the EWS and in the instrument cluster. Again, the master for this is the instrument cluster, but neither the cluster, neither the EWS are the ones that provides the voltage for that signal to ride alone. So I have to inject 12 volts, and it's specifically 12 volts. If it's higher than that, it will not communicate. If it's lower, like a volt or so, it might work. But you have to inject that signal, and then in the vehicle there is a bus bar that is in charge of that. So there is multiple modules that interconnect, and one of them, which is the general module, is the one that provides that voltage. So since I don't have the entire vehicle in here, I am providing that voltage through a potentiometer that I can adjust specifically to the 12 volts, and then I get to communicate. But this is how that looks. Let me zoom in a little bit. Disregard what it says in the bottom because they actually it's wrong. It says nominal value of here, number 1 is supposed to be 7 volts. Is maybe I don't know, an average, because if we see on the notes it says voltage division is 5 volts, so it has 1, 2, and then half of that. So that is exactly 12 volts. And that's information you don't find anywhere. So what I'm giving you here is good information. I have also, this is color wire diagrams, and I match everything is good, is there. In order for this computer or the EWS to work, it has to see either if you have a manual transmission. Let me get that in here so you can see what I'm moving on. So I'm going to show you a lot of information in here first before I do the test. And this is how I normally do it. I try to help others do the correct diagnosis when you have a no start condition. All right, so this right here is the EWS, Electronic Immobilizer Control Unit. So pin 6, if you have an automatic transmission, we'll go over to the transmission module, the EGS, and that will send a voltage onto this wire over to the EWS. If that voltage is not there, the module will not talk, and it will not come on. So we have a starter, and pin 1 is a heavy wire that goes over to the starter on the solenoid side to control that solenoid and pull it, and then to start a car. And I have a test light connected to that, and I'm going to show you that in a second. And then we got all the rest of the signals in here that I'm going to show you in a one central diagram that I did, so we don't have to go into wire and wire. I have also the DME here, and these are multiple pages that I have for powers and grounds and communication and so on. This is the K-bus partial of it because there's more to it, and these are all the modules that are part of that communication network. As you can see, it's a one-wire network. I'm going to go a little slow so you can see what is connected to that. And we have up in the corner, let me get another of those circles so we can see. Here's the instrument cluster right here. And then if I go over to, sorry if I go too fast, let me just find it. The E46 is the EWS right here on pin 13. So that is, again, more information. This is the EWS, so we can see all the pins on the board, or in the module, sorry, that are required for this to happen. This pin 3 is only if it's a manual transmission, so it's not really required for the currents, or if it's an automatic transmission. This is again another picture of that, and this is the signal that I just showed you, and then I made this myself. So I took the time to get a connector of the EWS on the top, right? That's the connector. It has a GC. Pin 1 and 2 are heavy wires because that's the power that goes over to control the solenoid on the starter. Pin 3, again, is not used. I only use the pins in here on the right side in red are the pins that are required for my tests in here. So 1 is starter signal, test light to ground, and that is going to light up when I put the key on. 2 is the start signal coming from the ignition switch, terminal 15, again, only on the start. Sorry, it's actually not 15, it's actually a start signal. 4 is the enable signal going from the EWS to the DME. That is the one that's going to say you can run. But that will not prevent the starter from work. The starter is completely controlled by the EWS. Then we have the toroidal, hopefully I'm saying that is a hard word for me to say, toroidal coil, pin 1. 6 is that pin that I told you that's coming from the transmission. 9 is ground. 10 is battery voltage, terminal 30. 11 is ignition, terminal 15. 12 is the other pin for that coil, the one that reads the key. And then the 13 is the K bus that goes over to the instrument cluster and connector X1175, pin 14. I put all that information in here. Then I did the same thing on the combi, which is module A2. And that is the connector that I'm using for all the tests in here. It's X11175, and it's at 26 pins. I only need these pins for my tests. Pin 1 is ground, pin 4 is battery voltage, pin 5 is ignition, pin 6 is actually R, which is accessory. It will be with power in accessory, ignition, or in crank. So it's always going to have power as long as the key is in there. Then 9 we have it's actually decon, that is the decon high, and 10 is decon low, and I put in here it goes to the DME. So these modules interconnect on connector X6004, pins 36 and 37. Then we have the same pin 14, the K bus to EWS that we just discussed on the top, pin 13. And then pin 25 is the diagnostic, is called DTX to DLC8. Very, very different on this BMW. And then on the bottom, I put all the connectors for the DME, X6601, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Those are all the connectors, and I missed a zero on the upper one when I was talking about XC000. It's actually 3 zeros. So we have all the powers again for the DME, and this again is for my bench test. And you can read what it says in here. So we have 2 powers on connector 1, ignition, and connector 4, and pin 26. The grounds are shared, so I put just a one ground and pin 4 or 5, I don't remember. Communication again in between the computer and the cluster that we already discussed. The DLC7, this is very important. This is the way the computer talks to the scanner. Directly on the scanner on pin 7, and the instrument cluster on pin 8, DLC8. The EWS signal and connector 4, pin 33. DME relay, I'm not even going to test that. I'm just got the fiber reference and sensor ground so we can see the computer actually talking. And I need to add that view. So let me get the view for this. I use a Siglent multimeter that I can use on the screen. And that's the one you guys always see. I have to put them into a maximum view like this. So I'm going to move you over to probably this view first. Let me get the view of the meter in the screen. Yes, we have it now. And also I'm going to put the ultra. Yes, we have the ultra right there. those are the two things that I'm going to be using with you guys, so you can see the connections and then the diagnosis, and then I'm going to put the key. So let me power up the computer, which I'm using the Mark 50. All the connections in there, it looks like a little spaghetti, but it's, these are not very common computers to really work. They're, going out. So I don't spend the time to really find all the connectors. I do have the connector for the EWS. I have the connector for the instrument cluster. The ones that I work the most, the DMEs are not really important. They're very small, so I can pin quickly by hand, and I have not done a complete connector for it. All right, so let me power the ignition on in here. All right, you can see immediately the instrument cluster beeping. We got the 5-volt reference already on in the screen. That computer is up and running, so that is all good. So I'm going to now move you over to the other view, which is right here. I want you to see here. So this slide that I have here is instead of the starter solenoid. So when I put the key over to that coil, I want you to see this. Starting, and it's going to keep starting. I think it's like 30 or 40 seconds. Let me just see if it goes away. Because actually that's you cranking. I'm not sure in the EWS 4 if it does a stop or you can keep cranking for whatever time you want. Let's take a look at that. Because on the new BMWs, you can click or try to start the car. It will do it for like maybe 20 seconds and it will disable the signal so you don't burn the starter. But this is 2003, so it looks like it does not. But you can see that the light is nice and steady. I remove a key and that light will go off because it now detects that the key is gone. We'll just, you see now, and I can hear the clicking on the internal relay on the EWS. Let's use the other key. We can see that both keys are working and it's happening instantly. So I'm not really sure what is the problem that Kyle has on the vehicle. If the problem is indeed maybe the oil on the connector and the DME is shutting down itself, because if the DME is not there, let me just go over the wire diagrams 1 second. I want to show you another diagram. This is the starter diagram, so let me get the ultra out and the meter. So this is where you can understand how this works. These are good, and I like to use the colored because they're a little better for all of you to understand. I like to use the original myself, but so we got two different options. So we got the automatic transmission, or we got the clutch pedal when it's a manual transmission, right? You got also clutch switch module with manual transmission, and module transmission depends on SMG or so, right? So when you have that signal, then we can and we can see how the DME is part of that. But when we have an automatic transmission, as you can see, the one completely in charge of that start signal is not other one than the EWS. And as far as I understand, Kyle has an automatic transmission. And I think I might have, let me see 1 second. Yeah, I can show you in here. This is with his VIN number. The last digit of his VIN number up in the tab when I'm moving is PH02743. And we can see here where it says transmission is automatic transmission. This is original BMW. This is from the dealer. All right, so this is, I got access to ISTA. And when you have that, I can see the production date, October 15, 2002, the color, and they usually put even a vehicle. No, not on this 2003, but you can see it's an E46. And these are all the stuff. It's an M54 engine. Let me just see what else. Upholstery, module code, model code. These are all the options on the vehicle. I can even go into vehicle history. So if I want to, the last repair, it was in 2015. The last time it was on the dealer. It looked like no entries. It's probably too old, right? So we're talking about 10 years. So they probably have erased already the history, but it looks like it was there. And the dealer, this is the code of the dealer that he was in there, or, the car. with 73,629 miles. I don't know how many miles the vehicle has now, but yeah, it's an automatic transmission. That is what's more important for me. So if it's an automatic transmission, we need the signal from the transmission. When the signal from the transmission gets here, the EWS gets the approval. You can put the key and the car will start. So why is that? Because we need to make sure the car is in park and neutral, right? So otherwise, it will not allow the car to start or crank, right? Because it will move it away. All right, so let's go back to here. And let's go back to Ultra and the meter. All right, so we got that. Let me go over to the scanner myself. Everything is connected. I'm not going to use the key, not yet. So let's go over to BMW. I'm using the Autel Ultra for this. This is the best tool. And the top down as well for BMW, but I like, honestly, myself, the Autel a little better for this vehicle. So let's read the bean. Yeah, ignition is on and everything is on. All right, so yeah, we have it right here. So it's a PH02743. We have that before from ISTA, so we know that we are in there, and it's saying everything of the vehicle, right? So 2002 October. So that is very correct. 330 CI M54. All is good. All right, in here now we're going to do, well, it's going to tell me to turn the ignition for 10 seconds to read all the modules, and it's going to tell me that if if the vehicle has a 20-pin connector inside the engine bay, to use that one. So let me turn the ignition off, and you're going to see that on the 5-volt reference. Actually, the 5-volt reference stays probably until the module goes to sleep. So let's count 10 seconds. The cluster went to sleep or went off. You can see that here. You see the cluster is now off. Probably I can use this view better. All right, so let me turn the ignition back on. All right, you can see the cluster back on, and let's click OK. And this is what it says about what I was telling you, because if he has that 20-pin connector, you want to use that connector, because that's the only way that you will be able to talk to ABS and other modules. Otherwise, you will just read the instrument cluster and the transmission and the DME and EWS. All right, so let's establish communication, and then that is going to populate the menu with the list of all the modules that the vehicle might have. All right, so let's enter first electronic MS43. That is actually the DME, exactly. MS43, that's exactly what we have here. All right, so trouble codes. We might have a lot of trouble codes because, there's nothing really connected to the car. Most important things to have is make sure that we have no immobilizer or EWS synchronization faults that he's been having on the car. Why is it a wiring? I already told Kyle to make sure that he checks pin fitment. My connector is brand new, it's original. I would recommend you to probably even get one from the dealer and replace the pins, because that might be the problem. Let me see what else we got here as far as full codes. Yeah, those are all the codes in here. So we got nothing about the immobilizer or anything like that. And I can erase the full codes. That will probably shrink the list, and we can see exactly that those are the only ones that, without turning the ignition back on and on, are there. And obviously that's not open. I mean, that's not connected. But yeah, we got good communication. Let's go out of here, and now let's enter. I don't know why sometimes it does this, because now it's like a glitch in the scanner, because I am out of the DME. Oh, it's not a glitch, it's the full codes. Sorry, the glitch is me. All right, so let me find. It's a little hard to scroll in this view. Let me see if I can do it like this. Yeah, I can. We can see all those in there. So let's go over to the instrument cluster. So we can see that too as well, and we have plenty of communication. Let's read the trouble codes. And let's erase, because, this was off. Make sure the K-bus should be no problem now. Yeah, we got no K-bus or anything. Again, this is just because it was off, completely out of battery, right? So those are faults that will exist. But we can see that we got good communication. I can even do a self test, and this is nice. You will see. Look at the instrument cluster. I'm going to do the self test. When I activate that, now you can see all the lights and all the needles moving back and forth. This is the way you will check your meter and see if one of the stepper motors is sticking or if one of the segments is not working. This cluster is pristine. It's beautiful. Everything is working. All right, so we can see that we got complete control, complete communication, not a problem on the instrument cluster whatsoever either. All right, so let's finally go over to the EWS, which is 7 in here. Right, let's enter the EWS, which is in K-bus, and we're in. So let's see trouble codes. No trouble codes, which is good. That means the EWS is good. Let's look at the live data. So in live data, this is all the pits. Let me see if I can, let me select some. Start enable. Start block to BC code, key identification, keys password, number of keys. Those are all good and important. Let me see a status, digital motor, electronics wire, block. So we can see that. There's not many pits, but let me just show the ones I select. So yeah, it will be more than one screen. Still, let me see what we don't need here. Well, let's put the key on, right? So because now this is the important thing. You're going to see all the changes as soon as I put the key. The light, the starter, the start enable, yes. The starter motor block due to park or neutral, no. Key ID, okay. Key password, okay. Key random code, okay. Current key number, 2. Key transmit, yes. Key disabled, no. Terminal R on. The status of digital motor electronic wire, enable. Selector level, park neutral, selected. So everything is matching. Everything is working 100%. We got the light. This card is cranking. And the reason it has not stopped also is because I'm not providing the RPM signal. And that's why when the DME sees more than 400 RPMs, it will disable the starter. So this is why it's doing this. And I was reading that and I forgot to mention that to you guys. And I don't need it. I mean, I'm not going to burn nothing. What, that test light in here, right? So now let's see. We have the current key is number 2. Now let me use the other key. I'm going to remove that key from there. Wait for that light to go off. Okay, now the light went off. Okay, and now let's put the other key. Okay, look, that key is number 5. So we got number 2 and number 5. But is anything wrong? No, everything is agreeing. If this is starting every single time, so not sure what is happening. The only thing that I can tell is Kyle is that his EWS is working 100%. Nothing wrong with that. Is the oil causing issues on the DME? More than anything, I will say yes. This is probably his problem. And I've been trying to help him out, but it's just so much I can do with the distance, right? So I can give you recommendations and that's all I can do. But Kyle, I hope that you see that I have no issues. And it's so hard to reproduce a thing that happens after 2 days. But he said that after that second day, when everything was working good, then the car didn't want it to start no more. He was cranking. And I asked him to make a test with me. So he went over, I tell him to remove the cover over the driver's side box, which is where the DME is. Either way, he needed to remove that. And then to put a test light to ground to see if that signal was coming on. And it wasn't. But what is preventing it from happening is definitely not the EWS. Now I can, with this, give him a lot of tools for him to test. Yes, we can use, and I can help him out to, now that I have deciphered these signals completely, I can tell them and it's definitely going to take time in diagnosis time. This is not for free. I'm sorry, right? So, but I can help him out in the vehicle with a multimeter and a test light. I would recommend for anyone that has a vehicle and likes to work in your own car to use an incandescent test light. Those are the best. You have to get two, an LED test light and an incandescent test light. You can make one. I make my own test lights in here all the time. I just buy this. It's a 194 bulb. Focus in here. Well, that's a 195 bulb. I get these are, you don't need to solder. These are, it has a little screw that you can just put this on, and you have a 4 millimeter banana adapter. And I put it any terminals, and you can put, the same terminal that you're going to test. You can put a piercing probe. You can put anything you want. You can put, two 4 millimeter banana adapters. Sorry, guys, two 4 millimeter banana adapters on it. And then you can put any terminals that you want, right? And then you can use a test light, which is very important because you need to know if the signals are going. Multimeter, test light, oscilloscope. They sell, and I have showed this inertia for like $70 or so, that you have multimeter, oscilloscope, and signal generator. Because if he has things like that there, then I can ask him to do tests with me, and I can tell him, okay, we're missing that signal, we're missing one signal, or we're not missing any signal. It said the EWS, is the transmission showing the parking neutral? I don't know. We need to have a scanner now, because if the transmission is not in parking neutral, this car will not start. And I can remove that signal here. I have it very easy to do. So let me move you over to here. So as you see, it's now that the car is cranking and everything is in there. We got communication with the EWS and everything is good. I'm going to remove that power coming from that pin 6 that comes from the transmission. All right, so, and that is a very, very important wire. Let me see where that is. All right, I remove the pin 6. It says EGS park, and that's actually, a power. So I'm surprised that we didn't lose communication. Let me see. Trouble codes, no trouble codes. And this is very important because, let's do that test. Is the car starting? No. Is a problem with the EWS? No. Right? Where is the problem? We don't have the car in neutral. So if that signal doesn't reach the EWS, which is very important if we go over to live data, and this is where a scanner is so important to have. Look at right here, guys. The starter motor block due to park neutral. Yes. Yes. Why? Because the starter will not crank unless the transmission is in park or in neutral. Is there something wrong with the computer or with the EWS? No. The problem is that signal is not coming from the transmission. The car thinks that it's not in neutral. Even you can have it in neutral, but if it's not reaching the neutral or the park, it will not start. And I asked him to please put him in neutral and put him in in park, and neither one changed. There was still no test light, at least with the test that he did. So if I connect this signal now, so I'm going to keep that in there. And I can even make a graph, but it's not really important. Or maybe it is for you guys. I know it doesn't let me do a graph. It's only 8. So I'm going to connect that wire exactly where it was, which is a power, right? And we can now see immediately how that went into starter motor block due to park neutral. No. So now when I put that key back into the coil, into the ignition switch, boom, now the car is starting. So I hope that you guys understand the amount of time that I'm taking to create this class and this diagnosis for all of you. This is not just for Kyle. This is for anyone that has EWS. This has taken me time to really make together because this is an old vehicle. I'm trying to help a customer, a friend, and help anyone that watches this video. So this has a lot of good information. Now you understand what could prevent the car from cranking. That signal, a bad EWS for sure. But if you have a bad EWS, there is actually little tools that actually can be very helpful. There are testers, and I can show that in another video just to not make this video too long. But I hope that you see that in here, Kyle, everything is working good. So we need to, or you need to do more tests in the car. This setup is all good. And I'm spending extra time, no charge. I'm not charging Kyle for this. And I'm trying just to help him out. But I hope that you also understand that my repair was done perfect. Nothing that I repair is failing here. It's a problem with the DME. I'm not sure. But the DME will probably not prevent the car from cranking. So we might have another issue in there unless it's shorted. I mean, if that oil gets there and it's shorted inside, it will definitely prevent. Why? Because remember, the DME and the EGS, transmission and engine computer, are talking to each other all the time. So yes, the computer needs to know that it's in neutral, otherwise, or in park. Otherwise, it will not allow the car to keep. It will not fire the coils. It will not fire the injectors, and so on. As far as cranking, more than anything, the EWS and the transmission are in charge of this. But it will not enable the computer unless the EWS is fine. So it's all interconnected. And I hope that you guys understand and see how important it is to get a scanner where I can read bits. If you guys, and Kyle, if you get a scanner like Autel, I can get into your Autel with a TeamViewer, and I can help you diagnose that car no matter where you are. No matter where you are, I will be able to help you. I have a diagnose fee for that, for an hour, and I charge for not the entire hour. Why? Because I need to gather wiring diagrams, tests for you to do. That is time that I use prior to the call to get you going faster. All right. So, and I hope that you all understand that. I got tomorrow, and I have done, multiple diagnoses like this over the phone, over the internet, like with the tool, Zoom, everything works. And I have run vehicles across the country and across the world. I have actually a Mini Cooper from Spain that nobody could fix. And it wasn't like 6 shop. The guy's like, dude, I love my car. Can you please help me? And I ended up fixing the car with him in like 35 minutes. And it was a shorted sensor. So, yep. I mean, I'm not saying that I'm the best technician. And I know that it's got to be better, good technicians in Spain as well. But he didn't find one. And he found me. I was able to help him over the phone, over the internet, with a tool like this that I can get my hands and see, gather the data. I'm a data analytic person. That's what I record videos. I take pictures. I do all these wire diagrams and collect the data into one spot. Why? Because I want to make sure that I can make this faster for me and for you. All right, guys. Again, I like to talk for hours and hours, and I know that I know a lot that I can share with all you. So if you have any questions about this system, please leave a comment. I am definitely always looking forward to help others, and I hope I can help Kyle. But as you can see, that this light has not go out, and I can remove the key and start this car every single time I want in here. It's enabled. We can see the signal going in and out as much as times I want. So good communication, no fault codes. Everything is good. So nothing is wrong. Let me just see. Key terminal. Oh, we don't need that. Key disable. No. Key transmit. Those are important. These are really important. The number. Let me just see. Current key. Key transmit. No. Those are the bits that I like to gather when I'm doing Yes, these are like pretty much the ones that I always keep in my screen. Why? Because you need to know if the key is good, if the DME is being enabled, or you have the parking neutral. So with this screen, I can almost tell you what the problem is in any vehicle with this setup. Because when we put the key here and you got the start enable, no block on the starter, key ID is fine, that car needs to crank. If it's not cranking, you have a broken wire or a bad starter, right? Okay. All right, guys, thank you so much. I will see you next time. And if you're here, don't forget to subscribe. If you have any computers, instrument clusters, or automotive or marine that you need to repair, you are in the best hands. I will help you not just repairing your modules, I will help you with information like in this case on how the system works. I will do the homework for you to help you go further, to help your technician, your mechanic working on your car and your module to prevent a failure again. That I always do. All right. See you next time. Bye bye.